all new. AM1150WTMP.com.
I think that's us, right?
Yeah.
Welcome to Facebook Live, folks. We are here. Grab your seatbelts, buckle in. We're going to be bringing a lot of information. Great person to also introduce to you, our voters this day, Mr. Eddie.
Alrighty. Tampa Bay, it's that time again. This is the radio show where we have no problem saying black folks and white folks.
There we go.
You know, some people kind of...
We got Hispanics too now.
Kind of get upset, you know.
That's too bad.
They don't want to politically hurt nobody. You know, but at the end of the day, you know, we good with it. We say black and white, and anything else that come up. So
whoop.
You know, so because we got that kind of audience too. My audience understand. We've been doing this for a while. We've been doing this for over 10 years now. So we make a difference, and the folks who are normally, you know, listening to this show, you know, I'm not saying anything new. I just want you to understand that when we have our conversation with this community, the community come first. You know, that's kind of what our standard is. We're about how do we make the community better? How do we improve the community? You know, we're not trying to make anybody mad, but if you get mad, that's your problem, not ours.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because again, at the end of the day, we know what our goals are. We have a plan, and we've been doing this for a while. And a lot of the people that I bring to you are people that you probably haven't met, haven't heard, haven't seen. You know, but they're people who I know have a place in their heart for our community. And because of that, you know, I bring them to you. So again, some of these people, a lot of these people, you know, you haven't seen and you haven't heard, and you probably wouldn't see, you wouldn't hear, but I know it makes a difference because every week after we do a show and I have a guest on, you know, the guests either call me or some of the people call me and say, I like who you had on the show last week. I'm gonna support them. I'm gonna send them some money. You know, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, and then I get the kickback because some folks, you know, you guys have to think about this, because I am a conservative black man, you know, on an urban radio station. If I support somebody, you know, that can be good or bad, because the community in general, you know, we're the demons with the cap and the cape and you know, the pitchfork. We the devil, you know, to be a conservative, you know, black person. Even though that's changing because more and more, as someone said before, we getting herd immunity. You know, it ain't so bad no more. When it's just one, you know, you the bad guy and everybody know who you are. No. Now it's hard to pick me out. You know, because they got an office called Black Voices for Trump, and if you ever ride by there in the afternoon, it's over on Hillsborough, you know, it's full of people, you know, and many of them look like me. You know, they got blacks, they got white, they got Hispanic, you know, they got a little bit of everybody over in that office, and the change is evident, you know, that black folks aren't turning their nose up at me as they used to. It used to be a time when I first started this thing 10 years ago, we could not have been on TMP. We could not be on this radio station. Even though the information hasn't changed, you as a community and the listeners have changed. You've heard it so long now, and we've never been shock radio. We never say stuff just to shock you, you know, even though it may be stuff that you hadn't heard before.
That's usually what it
you know,
is,
because most of the other folks is telling you stuff you want to hear. You know, and they lying to you. You know, they bending the truth. They manipulating you. See, they're in black folk manipulation business. You know, they're out there trying to manipulate black folks. It used to be a time where the Democrats took you for granted and Republicans didn't care. You know, but now, over the last couple of years, you guys have made Democrats stop taking you for granted, even though they don't have a plan. Trump got a plan.
Big time.
Even though they don't have a plan for you, you know, they're not taking you for granted as much as they used to.
For the moment.
And now that we got a president that understands that there's a great opportunity there, you know, and people say, well, I have people on my Facebook page, well, why do Trump have a black agenda, a black plan now? Well, because you're ready for it. That's why. It ain't because of him. You know, because Obama could have had a black agenda. He could have a plan for black folks.
He could have done prison reform. He had 8 years.
And he was in office for 8 years, didn't do it. Now, Obama was trying not to be black. He was trying to not have a black agenda. He was trying to do stuff, but he didn't want to say, well, he didn't want to change. Okay, we don't care, you know, on this radio station. It's the LGBTRQ ZY, you know, whatever, you know, those folks benefited. They benefited from Obama 8 years in the White House. Black folks as a whole, I'm telling you guys, you know, it was hard. You know, it was as hard having Obama in the White House as been any of the other 43 presidents. I'm just telling you. Trump has made a difference. And they got that keyword, Trump is a racist. Trump is a racist. And somehow, you know, regardless of what you say, you know, he's doing stuff that nobody else has done, including Obama.
Well, Eddie, you're bringing out what I would say is obvious for those of us that understand there's a bigger picture going on. And when you're just on the tailpipes of the Democratic Party that says if someone's not handing you a check, then they're racist. Trump's been handing out jobs. He's been handing out reform in the prison system. That directly affects minorities, black and Hispanic. Period. So he's been providing these things while one party just does a bunch of talk and keeps everybody where they've been for the last 50 years or whatever.
Control.
Yeah. So at this point, and I understand right now, there is not one single Democrat that has stood up for the unborn black child. Not a one. Every single one of them are for the abortion, Planned Parenthood, which is mainly located,
killing by the millions.
and it's mainly located in the black and Hispanic neighborhoods. And Democrats are for that. So you call yourself a Christian, and you're voting Democrat, and they're for that. They're for abortion the day of your being born.
I guess we should start the show.
Woo.
I guess.
Oh my goodness.
I guess we should start
Oh
the
my
show.
goodness.
This is Porch Talk Radio, Tampa Bay. It's 1 o'clock Saturday afternoon, and the ones who are listening, y'all know what we do. I just had to get every now and then when I walk in the studio, I have things I have to say and get them off my chest. And if I don't say them up front, you know, right quickly, then next thing I know, I look around, we at the end of the show, and I didn't get it done. You know, and for some of you guys know, on this day, we miss on this day in history, you know, a couple times because conversation got on, it got heated, and next thing I know, it was time and the show was over. So we got a guest in the studio. So let me go ahead and get the show started. This is Porch Talk Radio. This is Eddie Adams Jr., your host. Gabriel Phillips, your co-host here. We're doing what we've been doing for over 10 years. We've been doing this for 10 years. We've been here on TMP for over 4 years.
Really?
So we had an anniversary last month. You know, here on TMP, I don't say this, you know, every week, but this is our 206th show.
Really?
That's how I keep a record of the shows.
Oh, are these our notes we're supposed to read over? Like I always do.
So it has the show number and it has the date. So between the two, you know, and I didn't just start. I started from day one. From January the 15th, 2010 is when we did our first show.
Black Heritage
Festival. You know, at downtown. You know,
I have a sport coat.
Yeah, we were downtown and we were big time. We was on the radio.
Dixon Park.
We was on the radio, so we was at Curtis Dixon Park. So from that show one till today, we've been doing this, and the message hasn't changed. You know, what has changed is you, the people hearing and listening. You know, because you guys, you know, saying, boy, they can't be doing this for 10 years and be full of bunk. You know, they would have either went away, you know, on their own, or somebody would have got rid of them. Because some of the stuff they saying, you know, for a lot of you guys, you say it don't make sense. But, you know, once you sit down and look at it and think about it, it makes perfect sense. So anyway, for those who want to call in and be on the radio show, it is a call-in radio show. So if you want to call in, be on the air, here's the calling number. WTMP call-in number is 813 813-251-9867. 813-251-9867. If you want to call me, which many of you do every week, some after the show, sometimes 3 hours the show is over and I'm still talking to people on the phone about the show. But that's okay. That's part that goes with the territory. So Eddie Adams Jr. call-in number. If you want to call me after the show or sometime during the week to talk about an issue or bring something up, my cell phone number is 813-3312. Email Eddie at porchtalkradio.com. Eddie at porchtalkradio.com. Facebook Live, we're getting better at this thing.
Professionals.
We kind of old timers, and we.
Oh, wait a minute
this
now.
This new tech came on. We haven't been doing Facebook Live for 10 years. We only been doing it probably less than 6 months. So it's new tech to us. It may not, now some of these guys may be technical wizards, but they haven't displayed that here on this show.
And I'm sure our viewership is skyrocketing, as my wife said that she was watching. Hi, honey. So at this point, I know it's going through the roof. And guys, as I leave comments as well, Eddie's given his cell number. My numbers, I always tell everybody, whatever I bring to you, it's been brought out best in this last debate. You have the right to your own opinion, but not your own facts. I'll bring you the facts. You decide what you're going to do with it. If you research the facts I bring you and they're not accurate, my number is 727-311. If you want to just gripe and moan because you didn't like the facts I brought to you, you know what? I'm sure you can find something more constructive with your time. But again, everything I bring out here, folks, I have researched. If you don't want to hear it, you can control that radio.
All right. Okay, now, I heard somebody say, oh, when you talk loud, you're angry. I'm letting you guys know, I talk loud all the time. So anybody who know and listen and heard this radio show, I talk loud when I get excited. I'm feeling it, as some people say. So as young folks say, when I get the feeling that sometimes my voice go up, it's not because I'm mad, it's not because I'm angry, it's because I'm feeling the moment, I'm getting into it.
There we go.
And as I tell my guests, every guest we ever have on this show, I say this hour goes so quickly, by the time you sit here and say a couple of words, next thing you know, I'm looking at my thing, it's saying 2 o'clock and it's time to go. Wow. So anyway, I'm not going to take any more time. I'm going to introduce our guest to you today. And this guy is a good friend of mine. I am chairman of the Tampa Terrace Republican Club, and he came and talked to the club, a couple of weeks ago, and hit it off right off the bat. He's got some good things to say. I'm going to introduce to you. His name is Mike Perotti.
Well done.
Mike Perotti, and he's running against. I usually don't tell the opponent, but since everybody knows who his opponent is, I might as well go ahead and let you know, so you'll know what he's saying and compare it against what you're getting. So he's running against Andrew Warren. He is running for State Attorney General, 13th Judicial Circuit, which is Hillsborough County. So Mike, introduce yourself to the folks, give them a little bit more about yourself and tell them who you are and why they need to vote for you, why you deserve their vote.
We can do that. And good morning, Eddie. Good morning, Gabriel. It's a pleasure to be here. And so Mike Perotti is a third generation Tampa native. I have lived all over this beautiful county that I've called home my entire life. Never in the fancy neighborhoods, though. I grew up actually just off 22nd over in the University Square area in a duplex. We lived in the Cortez apartments, the French Quarter apartments, in the just north of Old Carrollwood area on the other side of the railroad tracks. We lived in Ruskin for 3 years. So truly this entire county has been home to me, and the journey of getting to meet all those people has been phenomenal. My background, very simply, is I started as a prosecutor here, working for Harry Lee Coe, and then Mark Over back in the late 90s, early 2000s. In my professional career after that, I have been in-house counsel for the sheriff. I have started a successful law firm with high school friends of mine. I was a Jesuit high school attendee, and from 2010 to 2018 actually was a major and a colonel running your jails here in Hillsborough County. So to say that I've been on every side of the criminal justice equation is not exaggeration. There's literally not an aspect of it that I haven't had to work with or had the opportunity and pleasure to see with my eyes wide open. Why am I running for this office? Well, because I absolutely echo everything that you all just started this program with. I myself, as a 48-year-old man who's been watching politicians and watching our political system both locally and abroad, I'm kind of done with all the placating and all the window dressing and not a lot of action. We spend so much time trying to choose just the right words, to say just the right magic formula, to try to trick people into believing that we actually give a darn. Instead of, how about the honest conversations? Let's look at it, let's find a solution, let's call it what it is and move forward. So what I plan on bringing to bear that is very different than anything this county's experienced the last 4 years from that position is authenticity. Actually having a passion for being this particular job for this community that is my home. And really being able to bring all sides of the equation to bear in one moment, because I see it from all angles. When you run a jail, you see what's not working. When you've been a prosecutor, you understand the perils of being overzealous or not understanding that just because somebody got accused doesn't mean they did it.
Right.
So you got to be a person of your ethics. I've worked with law enforcement, I've trained law enforcement, I've recommended the firing and demotion or suspension of law enforcement. So I've seen the best and the worst of the people who wear the badge. And I'm hopeful that if the community will wake up and see that there's something more legitimate, more authentic, and that can actually bring legitimate, real problems to the table, that they'll give me a chance to be their state attorney, and it would be an honor for me. And I'm very confident that they would not regret if they would be willing to give me their vote.
How can they find you?
They can find me at www.mikeperotti.com.
Perotti is spelled
P as in Paul, E-R-O-T-T-I. It's Perotti, it's Italian.
Perotti.
I'm about a quarter Italian, a quarter Spanish, and 50% Florida cracker. So I am perfect for the Tampa Bay area.
You got Spanglish down a bit.
A little bit. I can make it sound like I know what I'm saying, but it's just for the café con leche and the pan y mantequilla.
The important
So
deal.
we're all right.
So they gave the website a phone number they can reach you on?
Phone number 813. I should have this memorized by now, shouldn't I?
Oh, see, now you let it down. That stuff you got to whip up. So let me know you're not.
813-444-3480. 813-444-3480. And you can also reach me at mike@mikeperotti.com. Again, it's P-E-R-O-T-T-I. And folks, I'll tell you, the state attorney position, I don't know that there's a single more important decision for your community, because it is completely unfettered discretion to determine what should be the standards of accountability, what are the standards of how we should treat one another, because nobody can make the state attorney file a charge they don't want to file, or prosecute a case they don't want to prosecute, and nobody can stop from dropping it or dismissing it if they don't feel like going forward with things. So you can single-handedly change a community with that position.
Wow.
Well, the thing that kind of got me is that I listened to a program that Andrew Warren was on, and he was saying his office looks like the community. Now I'm not sure what community he was talking about, but I think Tampa Bay is like 27% Hispanic.
Yeah, majority.
Blacks about 24%, and then you got white folks, and then you got Asians.
Yeah.
So now anybody that's been in contact with that office, I don't know, even though I guess that's a claim you can make. How many of our constitutional officers, their office look like this community?
Right.
That's always a goal, and at the end of the day, not many people get that. Now I don't understand why it's so hard as a goal for people to get to, but somehow they say it. But when you go down there, you see the same old white folks.
You just got to make it a priority, Eddie. I mean, that's all it comes down to. It can be done. We've got tremendous talent in the Hillsborough County area. We've got wonderful attorneys. Some of them still work in that office right now and are begging for an opportunity to go back to actually prosecuting. But at the end of the day, everything in that office or in any office will be a reflection of what the leader prioritizes. So you want to have an actual meaningful representation of the diversity of your community, make it happen. There's plenty of talent out there. And no, it's a little shy last time I checked.
Folks, we hear that all the time. I'm like you. When these politicians, they're driving around, they're being chauffeured around like, oh, gee, I don't have anybody chauffeur me around. If I want my groceries, I got to go to Walmart and get them myself.
My kids don't even chauffeur me around.
Oh, my goodness, yeah. Just so when they start talking, they're like you. I don't know, folks. You need to stop and think like, that sounds like political talk. And, of course, blacks and Hispanics are only popular right now this election year. After that, these politicians will disappear again, and the black community and the Hispanic community, those go on down the tubes. And next 3-4 years, they'll come around again. Hey, I'm on your side still.
Yeah.
Haven't done a darn thing for the community.
And okay, since Gabriel brought it up,
Uh-oh. Here comes the door.
Mike, tell folks, because again, see, first thing that you're a Republican, second thing you're white, so that makes a big difference in the black community. Not that the other guy ain't white and that the other guy ain't, all these other things, but there's an opportunity for you to make a difference. How you gonna make a difference? And tell the folks what you plan on doing. That way, when they go to vote, they gotta make a choice between what they know, because he's been there for 4 years, and the potential of what you can do.
Yeah.
Explain that.
So,
Explain that.
Yeah, and there's so many layers to it, so I'll try and roll them back one at a time.
Okay.
First of all, when you look at what I come from a very humble beginning, so I understand that things aren't necessarily handed to you in life. I understand that not everybody knows exactly how they're going to afford the light bill each month. When you are raised understanding that reality, there's a humility that comes with that. My whole life and the experiences that I've had have led me into amazing opportunities to see the underbelly of things that look very attractive from the outside, right? Everybody sees, for instance, at the sheriff's office, the white shirts, the shiny badges, the notion of men and women who take an oath of office. Well, I've seen how human they are sometimes. I've seen the reality and that perfection isn't always the outcome of things. Mistakes get made. So when you're talking about a candidate that's already been able to pull back, I use the phrase being behind the curtain of the Wizard of Oz, right? I've now been behind the curtain of the Wizard of Oz for 3 different sheriffs, because I've been in-house counsel or major or colonel for 3 sheriffs. 20 years I've spent doing that. And so what I see is from the ground level, getting in the weeds, I see the imperfections of a system. What do I mean by that? I mean, there are people sitting in jail right now that don't need to be there. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about your non-violent, no violent history offenders who are simply sitting there because they can't rub $25 together or $50 together to bond out. And they're sitting there, and they're costing taxpayer money for no reason. That's $130 a day to house an inmate in there. And they don't need to be in there. And we know that we could have been doing this all along, because it's completely within the discretion of the prosecutor's office to recommend an ROR, release of recognizance on a nonviolent offender like that. And if you're moving bodies out intelligently that way, what you're doing is you're focusing then what's left on those folks that require more meaningful treatment or access to programs or an opportunity for rehabilitation, or you've got your truly bad, dangerous offenders who will victimize your community if you're not taking care of them. So where have we erred lately? On all 3 fronts. We haven't gotten the people out that could have been released so that they get back on their lives.
Right.
We have not providing meaningful substance abuse, mental health assistance, and I'm talking about out in the community, not just behind the bars. And we've been letting a bunch of bad people go, and we've got escalating issues.
Hold that thought. We'll start there. We got a caller. Caller, welcome to Porch Talk Radio on this Saturday afternoon. Who are you? Where you calling from? And what say you? Hello?
This is Reverend Willie D. Dixon. I'm calling from Tampa, Florida.
All right, Rev.
A couple of things. I have not heard the name Perotti in a long time. They used to live near Caramel City, right off on Palm River Road. I think that was his granddad that used to work at the jail.
Yes, sir.
And so I'm very familiar with the family. And the next thing is I want to bring something to Gabriel's attention. In 1941, when I lived in the project, Gabriel, I'm black, we could not go across Howard and Main, only to 2 places, the Lisa's Bakery and to the post office. And on the other side, on the west side of Howard, was Hispanic people. So Hispanic people too have been prejudiced against blacks. And Eddie, you from Bartow?
I'm from Lake Wales.
Bartow, Florida.
I'm from Lake Wales.
Okay, Lake Wales. That's in Polk County too, right?
Yes, sir.
And so we know how it was in Polk County. But anyway, I'm reading a book now by Pastor Wayne Peterman, and I wish all people read that, I'm sound loyalty. And maybe you need to share that, because now what we have now is not the real Republican Party. You know, I go back to when there was Democrats, then there was Dixiecrats, and then the split. But you need to realize this: neither the Republican Party or the Democratic Party picked President Trump. And so as a Republican, and when I lived in Sarasota, I was a registered Republican from 1981 to about 84, because Sarasota was a Republican city. So wherever you are, you vote along with the political party. But we know when we look at both parties, neither party has been fair to black folks. So we need to have an agenda, and they need to make up what was done to black folks, because if they don't do it, who will do it? And we know that most of the civil rights laws were passed not by Democrats; they fought it. So we need to know our real history. But the Republicans that we have today are not the Republicans of the past. And I thank you.
Thank you, sir. God bless you. And I'll be the first to confess that sometimes minorities can be the worst racist out of all of them, between Hispanics to Hispanics and blacks to blacks and back and forth. So yeah, I confess that is what it is. And I think sometimes we are our own worst enemy in that, as opposed to trying to help out. We just end up tearing each other down. So that does exist. Unfortunately, still today, that still goes on. I know it happens in a lot of communities.
And this is something about this particular community, and I tell you guys this all the time, and you know I mean it, and a lot of the leadership in the community know what I'm talking about. We are our own worst enemy, and we have always been our own worst enemy. Black folks have to realize that if you think about Martin Luther King holiday, Martin Luther King holiday was brought to you by Ronald Reagan. I talk to folks and I say, well, part of Trump's black agenda is he want to make Juneteenth, Black Liberation Emancipation Day. You know, he want to make that a national holiday. You know what black folks say? Well, if Trump is going to do it, see, they already forgot. They already forgot. The only reason the MLK holiday is because of Ronald Reagan. You know, now Obama was in office for 8 years.
How many black holidays do you approve?
He could have made Juneteenth a national holiday, and nobody would have batted an eye, thought about it, but saying thank you, thank you, thank you. You know, but none of the other presidents did it either. You know, so Trump has said, you know, and people say, well, why he gonna do it now? Well, he gonna do it now because right now it's something that we need as a people. And if he don't do it, the next 4 or 5 presidents might do the same thing Obama did. So I'm one of the people who have celebrated, look forward to, and think Juneteenth is a special day. For white folks who don't know what Juneteenth is, you know, that's Black Liberation, and that's Emancipation Day. That's when the last, you know, vintage of slavery at that time, you know, was abolished in the United States of America. So it's something special to black folks. And for you to say, well, if Trump is going to, it's going to be the same holiday, regardless of whether it's a Democrat or Republican president that make Juneteenth a national holiday. Take it for what it is. If somebody going to offer you something that you want and you need, you know, we got to have enough sense to not be stupid. So that being said, you know, and thank you, Reverend Dixon, for calling in. Cause we got some callers, we got some people listening to this show who are very smart, very knowledgeable. And Reverend Dixon is 80-something years old, so
he's still sharp.
So that brother's been around for a while, and he's got a lot of stuff he adds to the community. So and we got another caller. Let's go ahead and take that one. You know, before we give it back to Mike. So caller, welcome to Porch Talk Radio. Who are you? Where are you calling from? What say you? Hello.
My name is Margaret. I'm calling from Plant City.
Hey, Margaret, how's it going?
Oh, I'm blessed. Oh, listen. You know, what's been happening for blacks been done by the Republican Party, and it still is. And then the Democrats want to take credit. Even right now, what Trump is doing, they want to take credit. They want to act like it couldn't get done. It's being done, and it could have been done, and it could have been done a long time ago. They didn't have 40, 50, 200 years to get things done. So they just ain't been getting them done. Trump has come out with a plan called the Platinum Plan for African Americans. So them who like to know what the Republicans are doing, go and plans that he has for African Americans, for blacks, to progress. And the thing about it is the plan is to get things done. And what he is, he's the person who say he's gonna do something, and he do it. And he do it. So that's what he is. It's all right to have a promise and you have a conversation, but we got some accomplishments. Accomplishments. They don't want to address the accomplishments that he has done and has done for black people and with his non-Christian self who pray in Jesus' name and have everything prayed in Jesus' name, but he's a devil. But nevertheless, God uses the foolish things to confound the wise. So I say God using the foolish things to confound the wise, and then you can be wise enough to know, okay, it's being done. So they just need to know like that. If it's for the America they like, never mind about they switched sides or they did this because in 78, because they started killing Republicans, because all the blacks was Republicans and they had a hit list for them. Say, okay, don't be supporting these ends. Then they start hitting them and the Republicans being let the black people go. But hey, they're trying to come back to get you now. So you need to get on board the Trump train. Trump 2020 for USA, for all Americans. All Americans.
Thank you, Margaret.
Take the salary.
Thank you.
Okay, I let it go, but please, look at what he's going to do.
Appreciate it.
Everything he's going to do, he already got a record, he's going to do it.
Thank you.
Trump platinum twin.
All right. Okay. Next caller.
Wow. Margaret is on fire.
Let's get this
You
one.
go,
in.
Margaret.
Welcome to Porch Talk Radio. Who are you? Where are you calling from? What say you? Hello.
This is Adam from Tampa.
Hello,
Hey,
Adam.
Adam.
Welcome aboard.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
You were talking about the truth, and yes, the truth is that Ronald Reagan did sign the for Martin Luther King, but he was against it. That is the truth. He did sign it, but he was against it when it was going through as far as legislation. I wanted to talk to the candidate that you have for attorney, or was it state attorney?
Yes.
Is that the race? Okay.
Yes.
The thing is that he said, I listened to him, he said that the Attorney General has discretion, and he talked about some of the reforms, some of the things that he felt that can change to be more inclusive, and the diversity of the people that are here in Tampa. Okay, for instance, I just got some questions to ask him.
Go ahead.
Okay? His name is Mark, right?
Mike.
Is it Mark?
Mike.
Mike. Okay, Mike. Okay. Let me just ask you a few questions, and let's just have a brief conversation. Okay. One, and you can just answer. One, is there systemic racism in the criminal justice system? Yes or no?
There are systemic racial disparities in the system. Racism is an individual feeling or intent by a person. There are systemically racially disparate outcomes being created by our systems.
Okay. So if there are racial disparate outcomes, then you're saying that what is creating those systemic racial disparate that you're referencing? Because the thing is that if there's not systemic injustice within that system, then there would be no need for reform. Because Mr. Eddy said that that you give credit to 45 as far as the first act, that bill that was passed. Now, the reason why there was a first act is because there was some injustice and disparate injustices that were there.
Ask your question, because
Okay.
we getting
So,
long in
no,
time.
I was just asking the candidate because he's.
But you need to do it. Go ahead. Ask the
that
question.
position.
So
I asked one question, and he was responding to, as far as I said, does he believe that there's systemic racism within the criminal justice system? Number two, okay, if you were the Attorney General, okay, or State Attorney, okay, the case, let's put that hat on. The case of Breonna Taylor, okay, you said that you feel that, things that people should be held accountable. Okay, tell me how a person, even though they said that it was justified, the shooting, do you feel that the shooting of Breonna Taylor was justified? And also, how would you hold police officers who you find to be violating African Americans or people of color civil rights.
Okay, Adam, I'm gonna let him answer that, but you gotta listen.
Hang up.
Hang up and listen because
We got other
this is
people.
taking too long. Go
All right,
ahead.
so the answer is simple, actually. Breonna Taylor case is multi-layered because what you have arguably is some deficiencies and some failures at the policy and at the implementation of that policy level for how that particular arrest warrant was executed on that day, because you get into those no-knock issues. The way you hold law enforcement accountable is by speaking honestly and openly about what they've done well and what they've done poorly. There are ways to differentiate and to distinguish between the civil liability for an event, like you clearly had Breonna Taylor, because I'm pretty sure it was about a $12 million payout or something like that the city entered into, which is an acknowledgement of wrongdoing on the part of the city,
Right.
versus trying to get to actual criminal liability for an individual actor, like a deputy, trying to make a decision on how to respond to what they are now perceiving as a threat of force against them. And that's where that case became very complicated. There always have been, errors and mistakes and bad actions by people in positions of authority that must be held accountable. I'm the only person you will have ever voted for this office that already has a public record, searchable track record of recommending the termination or suspension of men and women with badges because they broke their oath of office. So if you want to know how I think you should do it by calling it what it is, and when it costs them their job, it's very sad, but it costs them their job. As far as criminal culpability, you review every single case on its merits, every specific fact, and you cannot be afraid to call it like it is. If they violated the law, you charge them and you hold them accountable.
Wow.
And one of the other things too, just in case you guys missed it, Mike said that he was the colonel. He was a colonel in the sheriff's system. Now, for those who don't know how the system works, next to the sheriff himself or herself, but we never had a female sheriff in Hillsborough County, next to himself, they're second in command. That's the next place down the run. You go the sheriff, and then you go colonel, then you go major, and then
Captain, all the way
captain all the way down to where it needs to go. So he's been in a place in which he's seen the whole system pretty much from top to bottom.
Absolutely, and again, all the imperfections of the system. When I go back to my people that did not need to be in jail, when I talked about opportunities to improve drug treatment opportunities, vocational training inside the jails, more mental health efforts inside the jail. Those are what you saw. When I was the colonel, you're talking about a 1,600 employee contractor sized department that I was in command of, over $30 million budget. And you look at those experiences and you spend time talking to the inmates like I have. And this will kind of dovetail back into one of the original questions. Many of the men and women in that jail are not bad people. They are sometimes very bad decision makers on what they think are their options or their best choices. And a lot of things snowball on them. It starts off with some minor things, and that becomes something bigger and worse, and next thing you know, they feel trapped in a rut. But there are so many opportunities to try to get more meaningful assistance that starts way back in the community. I mean, we've got housing issues in the black community, we've got schooling issues in the black community, we've got mentoring and parenting issues in the black community, because a lot of these kids do not have, you're talking about 12, 13, 14-year-old kids that don't have any adult that's really looking after them to help them make the wise decisions. And they get in trouble, and then they get in trouble, and they get in trouble, and nobody reaches out and tries to change their thought process. I call it, it's no different than absentee parenting. If you let children just run wild and you're never ever getting their attention, tell them, don't be that way, then let's not be surprised when they're now 19, 20 years old and they're having way too much contact with the justice system. It's tragic, it's sad, and until we start having forward-looking, problem-solving efforts that are starting in the community, with the community, by the community. And that's what I want to bring about. When I put somebody on probation or some sort of diversion effort, it's not just going to be, hey, don't get in trouble and we'll see you in 6 months. It's, you're going to go do community service with Pastor so-and-so. And I want you going to this young men and mentoring program over here. And then you're also going to be checking in on this side of town. And I want it to be a menu of items all across this county so that the men and women of that county that know this individual can be part of helping them make better decisions next time around. It's not complicated, it just takes being honest about it.
Wow.
All right, we got another caller. Caller, welcome to Porch Talk Radio on this Saturday afternoon. Who are you? Where you calling from? What say you? Hello?
Yeah, this is Fred from Tampa.
Yes.
Hey, I just heard something about this, I guess his name is Adam. The thing is that the person that is running for candidate or running for office, he ain't answered the question. Because the thing is that he just kind of deflected. Because the thing is that he's not really answering as far as systemic racism. Systemic racism is a real thing. And the thing is about Breonna Taylor, all he talked about was the civil penalty. We're talking about criminals holding somebody accountable in terms of criminal justice. And the thing is that everybody should be, accountable under the law. And he's just talking about the civil remedy about it. We're talking about the justice for Breonna Taylor. That's what I'm talking about. And I wish you would answer the question about, are those officers, should they be held criminally liable for what they did? The same thing that happened in Minnesota. You're going to talk about the civil penalties that are meted out by these jurisdictions when these officers do these acts and kill unarmed black folks or whatever. You want to be a representative and you want the community to believe in what you say that you would do as the state attorney, then speak to that instead of talking about, okay, we got a remedy or civil penalty. Breonna Taylor, I'm sure her family would love her to be back, love for her to be alive, and they can give that $12 million back because Breonna Taylor did nothing. And you're going to tell me she didn't commit any crime, the warrant wasn't for her, so how there's no accountability. She gets her family gets a $12 million check. That's supposed to satisfy their family.
Okay. Let me go ahead and break in here. Okay, guys, we're not gonna solve the racist problem of America with this guy. Everybody keep calling, talking about you talking about how you feel. The system is pretty much been against. Again, let me. Okay, this is my radio show, so I'm gonna do it the way I want to do it. So at this point in time, we're gonna move forward, and Mike can go ahead and give an answer. But again, we're not gonna solve this problem, and I know how all you guys feel about it. So at the end of the day, this is nothing new. So what we're pretty much doing now is wasting time. So please cut that call off. Cut that call off so we can go ahead and do something else.
And I will answer briefly.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I think he missed it. But the last thing I said, the last sentence was I would absolutely hold law enforcement accountable, including criminally, when they violate their oath of office or the laws that we all agree to abide by. Period. That's a statement. I would absolutely do it. The Breonna Taylor case, the facts of it, I wasn't in the grand jury. So I don't get to know all the details of exactly what happened there. What I have heard, second and third hand, is that they went and did a no-knock warrant, which I already said there's a problem with that because it's setting up the opportunity for these types of bad outcomes. That the gentleman who was there came up firing at law enforcement fired back, and that's when Breonna Taylor was struck so many times. It's tragic as awful. Without being able to know the exact facts of what specifically happened and the sequence of when it happened, it's impossible for me to give you my personal opinion on whether or not I would have indicted one of the deputies involved in that criminally. As far as George Floyd, I would have very easily, without even having to wait for much else, charged him with a criminal civil rights violation. That's what I saw from square one, moment one, when I saw that video. That doesn't mean that I had to wait and see whether or not the ME says that Mr. Floyd died because of one cause or asphyxiation or anything, strangulation, whatever, I don't care. What I saw was a criminal civil rights violation. I would have pushed to have him charged federally with a criminal crime for civil rights violation. I am absolutely serious about holding everyone accountable when they violate the law.
Awesome.
All right, we got another caller. Let's see. Caller, welcome to Porch Talk Radio. Who are you? Where you calling from? What say you? Let's make it quick.
Yes, okay. Can you hear me, Eddie? Is this Eddie?
Yes.
Hey, man, please don't hang up on me, and this is going to be real quick. I'm backing up the guy that just called and the other guy that called before, and you asked that guy that you got on the show for an answer, and I'm just speak to those other people out there. He's going to give you the same answer that would have happened down there in Louisville. If he was down there in charge, the same thing would have happened. Because I'm going to tell you why. They're not believing the black guy that was in the house with his girlfriend, with Breonna Taylor. That black man said that when he heard noises at the door, they were asking, who's at the door? Who's at the door? And nobody said anything. And the black man, you could see his interview. He said, all he heard was somebody busting in the door at 1 o'clock in the morning while they're sleeping
And he said, he asked who's at the door, and nobody said anything, and he thought somebody was busting in to shoot, to harm them. So he fired a warning shot. So what the outcome is they're not believing what the black man is saying. Just like they don't believe when black women say things, they don't believe when this black man is saying, we heard nothing.
Okay, well, thank you. Okay, first of all, again, we're not gonna solve that problem today. And the warning shot, this brother just said he fired a warning shot. The warning shot actually hit the police officer. So again, he's a horrible shot if he was firing a warning shot and it hit somebody. I'm just saying. So again, there's not a right and wrong, and we're not gonna solve that problem here today. So if Mike wanna comment on that, I'm going to let him go ahead and comment on it. But again, at the end of the day, this is a national issue, a national problem, and we pretty much know how everybody feels about it. So again, we're not going to solve it. So again, if we're not going to solve it, we're not helping this community out by just continually bringing up the same thing. So
and again, I don't know why people aren't hearing it when I say it. The first answer I gave started off with my concern about no-knock warrant execution, which is exactly what set the opportunity for this thing to go so wrong. And if in fact the evidence showed that law enforcement went in like gangbusters without proper warning, didn't respond to efforts to try and ascertain who was in there, or had other failures like that, then I'm going to be just as upset and have just the same problems that you do. I wasn't there for the grand jury testimony, so I don't know, but all of those are different levels of failures which could have resulted in all sorts of liability, criminal and civil. And in this county, which is the one that I'm trying to be responsible for, I will hold everybody responsible for making sure that they do things by the book with appropriate outcomes. And if there's training deficiencies or criminal violations, we will always say them loud and clear.
Awesome.
all right, we're gonna do one more. We're gonna do one more caller, and then I'm going to do on this day. Then let Gabriel get his conversation in. Okay, so caller, welcome to Porch Talk Radio. Who are you? Where are you calling from? What say you? Be quick. Hello. Hello?
Well, that's quick.
Okay, there's nobody on the line.
All right.
Okay, we're going to the next caller. Hello? Okay. Okay. I don't see anybody. I don't hear anybody.
On this day.
So we're going to do the on this day thing. Okay, on this day, on October the 10th, 1845, the United States Naval Academy opened in Annapolis, Maryland. On this day, October the 10th, in 1913, U.S. President Woodrow Wilson triggered the explosion of the Gambia Dike. It ended the construction of the Panama Canal. So that's the explosion that actually opened the waterway that filled up the Panama Canal to make it go from the Atlantic to the Pacific. And on this day, on October the 10th, in 1978, U.S. bill authorizing the Susan B. Anthony dollar was signed by U.S. President Jimmy Carter. A lot of folks don't remember that.
Really? Jimmy Carter did something useful?
But I remember when they had those coins, the dollar bill, the dollar coin. And last but not least, on this day, October the 10th, 1997, the Guggenheim Museum in Bellows, Spain, opened to the public. Architect Frank Gehry designed the 45-foot long and the 98-foot wide building. I'm an architect, so every now and then I have to throw a little kick in there.
A little bit of architecture stuff.
So folks, get a little bit of art history, without make a big deal. So Gabriel, what you got to say?
As we kind of get away from the dark side and go to the lighter side, I had some interesting articles I ran across this week. The World Economic Forum, which if you looked at how much they provided in the black communities around our nation, it'd be zero. But anyway, they said that black people are excluded from enjoying the great outdoors because they're black. Yes, folks, they really stupidly said that. They said because black people don't have access to transportation to get to the parks. After all, the great outdoors really doesn't have passport checks that I noticed, and is rather free. But for some reason, this particular organization, the World Economic Forum, seems to believe that there's not enough black people getting out to the park. I don't know. I guess they figure they got a good tan.
I guess they need to go to the beaches.
Something's going on. But some lady named Rihanna Fatnukum founded Black Girls Hike organization to counter that. So if you see a bunch of black girls hiking through the park next time, there you go. Let's see here. Oh, on the lighter side, if you guys watch the debate and notice the fly that landed on Mike Pence's head.
The world famous fly.
The world famous fly has been pretty busy since then with a lot of interviews.
And all that white hair.
Yep, and the white fly in the last statement recently made said, after tasting greatness last night, I will no longer be voting Democrat. And it said, Black Flies Matter. And then, of course, the whole event from that particular situation where they did this debate between Kamala Harris and Mike Pence. Kamala Harris's famous line for the night, she is the vice president, Democrat side. She said, very calmly, how calm were you when you were panicked about where you were going to get your next roll of toilet paper from? Wow. Okay. So, and that was it for her. That was a good line for her. Great. And last but not least, before demonizing anyone for being so-called male privilege, understand 6% of homeless people are male. 93% of work fatalities, that's kind of terminal stuff that die, are male. 78% of suicide victims are male. 93% of prison inmates, male. 96% of military casualties, male. And 78% of murder victims, male. So much for male privilege. Out the door with that. That's all I got.
All right, thank you. So let's let Mike go ahead and get his final words in, and then we'll end on a lighter note.
There we go.
So Mike, final words. Make sure you give your information, contact, and website and all that kind of stuff.
So website again is www.mikeperotti, and that's PEROTTI.com. I'm also on Facebook and on Twitter. The email is mike@mikeperotti.com, and the phone number is 813-444-3480. I appreciate everybody tuning in, and I guess I'll close with this. I understand the anger and the outrage and the frustration by so many, because we have been being given promises of things fixing and changing, and we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and nothing ever really happens. Quite frankly, it's one of the reasons I decided to run, because my slogan on my signs is principles, not politics, because politics gets us a lot of window dressing and empty promises, and principles is about right and wrong and getting to the truth, no matter how painful that truth might be. And that's what I plan on bringing to bear. The bottom line is, the person in that office right now hasn't charged a law enforcement officer with anything that's happened here locally in the last years, and there's no real history of that. But I'll tell you what, gun violence right now in the city of Tampa, from January to now, is up 49%. Homicides in the city of Tampa are up 50% year to year. Rapes have increased from 2016 to 2019 by over 35, almost 40%. Nobody talks about those things. Folks, these are happening because there are some dangerous, violent people out there that right now are taking advantage of some very good programs and slipping out the back door to your justice system. I want the programs. I want to make sure we're getting them to the right people. I want to do a way better job of trying to keep our kids out of trouble, not just once they're already in it, but before they actually get there. Do something more with the community to make sure the community's involved in that process. You want somebody that brings accountability and authenticity and availability to the table, you've got the person right here. I appreciate everybody's time, and I'm asking you all to truly consider voting for Mike Perotti for state attorney when you get your ballot in the mail or when you go in person. I'm not going anywhere. I'm a Tampa native. This is my home. I'm obligated to do everything in my power to try to make it better, and I would appreciate the opportunity to do so.
Wow, excellent. Folks, if you keep doing the same thing over and over, and you keep voting the same way over and over, you just keep getting what you've been getting over and over and over. And it's time for that to change. You don't like what's been happening in your community? Stop voting the way you've been voting. Get in the right people. This man that's talking to us now, Mr. Mike Perotti, is talking about not only just fixing the laws per se, but fixing the programs to try and help the people. Right now, it's like Sheriff Clark, that's been on TV quite a bit, a nice black man that said, you want to fix our crime issues in the black communities, fix the ghettos. In other words, let's go deeper than just trying to do the surface stuff. Let's try and reprogram these bad programs that are in our kids. Folks, if we can change that, we win. You win. The child wins. Adult wins. Family win. It's a win-win all around, but it requires you to do something different. Stop doing the same old, same old.
And I know a lot of folks have been talking about, voting by mail. Now, for some reason, you gotta explain this to me. Okay, we got 2 weeks before the election where you can go to 20-something different places in the city, county, wherever, and vote. You got 2 weeks. Then you got election day, which is nationally, everybody get to vote on the same day and they get to count your vote. I'm like this. Okay, if you want to vote by mail, ask for your ballot, get your ballot, use it. But for me, I would not be concerned with my vote counting if I'm not concerned enough to go down there to take my behind to a place, walk in, cast my vote, put it in the machine myself, and see it counted. You see what I'm saying? Now everybody's upset and playing. Now I keep hearing that they finding bundles and bundles of mail-in ballots in the swamp, in the river, in the trash can, into this, into that. It's easy. This is not rocket science. If you want to vote, go vote. Again, I'm stupid. I'm going to go ahead and admit it. I'm going to tell you guys, I'm stupid. Because I vote, early vote, every time, been doing it for 20-some years. They give me 2 weeks to go vote. I go to a library or someplace or a church or somewhere.
Is it open right now, Eddie?
Yeah, it ain't started yet. It starts next week.
Okay, next
week. But once that happens, you still got 2 weeks. You got on your way to work, on your way home, somewhere about. They make it convenient. They're all over the county where you go vote. You go in, cast your vote, and most places there's not no line. Again, that last day, everybody complained about saying, well, you stand in line because you're a procrastinator. You procrastinate. You wait till the damn last minute to do it. Now it's everybody's fault but yours. I am sorry. I am not. I don't feel sorry for you. And I'm talking loud because I'm getting excited.
Calm down now.
But at the end of the day, if you want your vote to count, make it count. Go to a place that's the election polling place. Walk in, cast your vote, then take your button and do whatever else you want to do. But don't complain about people throwing away mail-in ballots and they getting lost and this and that. Again, if you cared enough about it, you'll do the right thing. So with that being said, until next week, same bad time, same bad station, Tampa Bay, we love you.
God bless America.
Everybody have a great day.
See you. Bye-bye.